Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at game number 2 between Rock's Pomi and Type PhoeNix. This time we are on the map at GSL Daybreak. PhoeNix ends up losing last game, and it's quite unfortunate. You know, we saw PhoeNix attempting to be the aggressor. It was pretty relatively, I don't know, passive on the early stage of the game, and then PhoeNix started moving out with roaches and speedlings. The problem for PhoeNix, though, was that none of those engagements really went too well for him. As I mentioned at the end of last game, he never really took out any major tech, never really did a lot of economic damage, and after every engagement that he pushed out with, he was falling further and further behind. Pomi, with just a nice healthy mix of units and good placement of force fields, was able to prevent PhoeNix from doing much damage and kill off a lot of his units. And then we saw that transition into Colossus, which honestly, PhoeNix didn't really have much of a response to. You know, roaches are pretty resilient. Colossus are better against things like speedlings and hydras. They tear through them a little quicker. But, you know, he couldn't really ever get within range of those Colossus, and that's a problem, especially on that map and in those positions. One thing you'll notice is when, you know, PhoeNix was trying to be aggressive, most of those engagements were happening in positions that were relatively narrow, and that allowed Pomi, with proper force field placement, to split PhoeNix's army in half. And that's a major problem as a Zerg player fighting against a Protoss opponent who has a lot of sentries, is that if you try to fight in narrow choke points, then you deal with force fields splitting your army in half, and it makes it hard, especially on that map, for the Zerg player to engage that natural and that third position. So it's kind of an issue, it really is. And you know, possibly if we saw some Corruptors to deal with those Colossus in those last few engagements, maybe things could have been a little bit differently. But, you know, they weren't, so there you go. Interesting Forge Fast expand here for Pomi, as he is deciding to come out with the first few buildings inside of his main. Now, the problem I see with this is that this is going to leave this area quite vulnerable. A lot of times you want that forge down here and that first pylon down here so that you can get that wall off finished a little bit earlier. However, as we can see, PhoeNix does only have those 4 lings coming through, so, you know, he's not going for that crazy early aggression that we saw last game. And Pomi will be scouting this out right now as he moves into the main. Spots no gas. It is very important to note. That does mean the possibility of PhoeNix taking a third, so that is immediately going to force Pomi to at some point move out to scout for that. Now we do have this gateway and the photon cannon coming through, and by the time those lings get there, this will be finished. And the great thing about this position for a cannon is that he's got full coverage. Even if lings hug this corner right now, they're going to get hit by that cannon. And then once this gateway comes through, we'll see that first zealot, and even if the lings do manage to sneak back here, it doesn't really matter. And there you go, Pomi making that a little more difficult, forcing lings to come a little bit closer to that cannon, and that would allow that cannon to get a few more shots off. 1 ling at the tower, the other 2 lings over here, and 1 checking for secondary scouts in that position. PhoeNix was forced back there. Pomi finishes the wall off, leaving just enough space for 1 unit, and then Zealot will be filling that as soon as he comes through. Now, as we can see, we saw the lack of extractor. PhoeNix has taken that 3rd position, and that is something that Pomi will want to scout for. We'll see if he decides to move out with the Zealot or if he moves out with a Stalker after the fact. Level 1 weapon upgrade coming through here for Pomi. Not a whole lot else to look at the moment. And look at this. I mean, why not, right? Why not use a Probe Scout? You know that there was no early gas. You know that Metabolic Boost is delayed. And the lings will catch up and they'll get a few shots off, but they get staggered back every time they attack, as you see. And that allows the probe to safely get that scouting done. So just the probe will be scouting out Type PhoeNix's 3rd base, and we'll be trying to head back home. Could make it back home safe. It's going to be close. Yeah, I don't think it's going to make it. That's a sad story for the probe, but Pomi got the info he needed, so the probe, I'm sorry, but your life for ire. Oh, that was so dramatic. All right, let's pay more attention to the game now, why don't we? We do have the Warp Gate research coming through here. Sacrificial Overlord Scout moving in. Not sure what he saw. Yeah, it looks like he saw pretty much everything that was going on there for Pomi, which at the moment really isn't a lot. Guarantee he saw that researching, though, so at least he knows that he has to deal with the level 1 weapon upgrade. Twilight Council is coming out here for Pomi, so could be seeing Blink Stalkers, heavy Blink Stalkers, or could be going for crazy fast DT. Either one is a possibility. I guess he could also be going for a Templar Archives for fast charge Zealot Archon, but don't quite expect that. We'll see. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. Roach Warren coming forward here for PhoeNix. Metabolic boost now just starting. We're going to fully saturate these bases here. Should be continuing to drone up. A bunch of drones actually popping and moving down right there to that position. Will be the Blink Stalker research that we are seeing here from Pomi. A few more gateways also getting laid down. 4 of them warping in at the moment, and PhoeNix will scout that out. We'll also scout out the Twilight Council. Nice sacrificial scouting and beautiful timing there by PhoeNix. Gets the info that he needs. Saw that researching, you can tell. You can tell the Twilight Council is researching just by this. Thing's a little shooting up there. Quite an obvious indicator, and so, you know, he knows most likely to expect those Blink Stalkers. Roaches and Speedlings here early on is what we will be seeing from PhoeNix. It's what he did last game. Apparently this is what he is comfortable with in PvZ. Layer almost finished, so with this we'll probably be seeing that Glau reconstitution here out of this Roach Warren. Getting that roach speed, obviously very, very important off of creep, because those roaches are still so deathly slow when they're not sitting on the creep. It'll be another few moments though as he is waiting for enough SBN to be able to start coming out with that. Saturating this extractor over here. Probably could use another extractor, especially if he's planning to produce roaches here. I think a 4th one wouldn't hurt him, huh? Alright, there's that Glau reconstitution now coming forward. We saw the Speedlings of PhoeNix move in and scout that 3rd base position. Just wanted to see if Pomi had in fact taken another base. Blink research is now finishing. Another gateway will be transferred into a warp gate, and with that he will be sitting on 7 warp gates. 7 gate level 1 weapon plus Blink Stalker, level 2 weapon, I'm sorry. 7 gate level 2 weapon Blink Stalker push here from Pomi. This is very threatening to the 3rd, and I'm pretty certain that that is exactly where Pomi will be going. 1 pylon here, should also be dropping another pylon a little bit closer. Now with those Speedlings and the Roaches trying to pull forward, some of those early game sentries with a lot of energy, landing quite a few force fields, forcing PhoeNix back here. Here come more Blink Stalkers. Where's that probe? I don't know if that probe's around. If not, that's sad, because we do want another proxy pylon a little bit closer. Alright, right now we will be seeing Pomi try to engage over here. Blink Stalkers peeling back whenever they get too low in health, allowing those fresh Stalkers to move to the front of the battle line. Should be seeing another warp in sometime soon here from PhoeNix. He's a little focused on his micro, but you still want to stay on top of those warp ins, and there you go. Sentries and Zealots. Getting a little bit of a healthy mix and not just focusing there on those Blink Stalkers. Even though he has the tech, he says, hey man, I could use some more sentries and some Zealots as a meat shield. Well, that sounds good to me. Roxkiss Pomi in the front there with the Blink Stalkers with that tech. This is good because once he gets in a dangerous position, he can just blink back, allow those Zealots to take the front line. Nice force fields there. I think he's going to get this without issue. No energy for any more force fields. There we go. We've got 1, but you know what? This is gone. PhoeNix loses the expansion. It's so hard to deal with this push on this map. Such a difficult position to engage a Protoss player at and try to defend your 3rd. That is terrible for PhoeNix. Really, really sets him behind. He's got a macro hatch coming out, also a few spines, some stationary defense in case Pomi tries to push, but really Pomi doesn't need to push right now. He's at a tremendous advantage at this point, killing off PhoeNix's 3rd base. That is huge for him. Take a look at those resources lost. 1,300 resources behind right now. It's not a good spot for PhoeNix to be in. He's got the burrow research coming out for those roaches. Again, we see this macro hatch just about finished. He can't stay on 2 bases for much longer though. He definitely needs to get up a 3rd at least. If not, trying to get a 4th now as well, because that really, really set him behind. This is something he needs to stop too. We have got to see PhoeNix stop this. If this comes through and Pomi can defend it and saturate that, PhoeNix is in more trouble than he already is in, which is a lot. Yeah, things aren't looking too bright here for PhoeNix right now. He better make a move, better do some damage. Really or else. If you can force this cancel, that would be a good step in the right direction. Get some roaches preparing to pressure over here. However, the sentry's going to stop that from doing anything. Burrow research is finishing, but I don't think he's got the tunneling claws, so it doesn't really matter. Attempting to push over in both positions. Now pulling back here. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get much done here at all. Pomi is fully prepared for this. Got a few cannons with one more coming out. Blink Stalker's pulling forward, will force that back. Sentry stopping this force from doing anything over here. Oh, able to get by. Force fields get laid down, but a few roaches are up here, and they're going to start picking off those sentries one by one. Those are the primary targets. Burrowing down, however, Observer allows him to drop them all. Pushes on up into the expansion up here. Does take out the cannons, but not able to do too much more than that. He's going to continue to pressure here, try to take out that gateway. We have some reinforcements. Speedlings also moving in this direction. Looks like he will be getting this gateway here. Pomi moving back with his Blink Stalkers, blinking forward. A lot of damage to those roaches. Speedlings and roaches moving up into this position. PhoeNix doing a good job of trying to spread Pomi out. The roaches moving back to engage. Speedlings and roaches moving back home now. Is he dealing with counter aggression? No, he's not. He's just pulling back. Pulling back to reinforce with the rest of his army before he decides to continue to engage. I don't know if he should have let up there. He was doing a decent job. Now we do have Colossus in play. And really no response there unless he can get roaches close. He's going to have a hard time dealing with that Colossus. I don't even think he's got a Spire in play, to be perfectly honest with you. Very roach heavy force moving forward. Pomi is going to try to drop this base. Also allowing some of these roaches to engage the forces over here. I think he's going to get it. Problem is he going to get away? Takes out the Nexus, pulls back. He's taking massive damage in the meantime. Blink Stalker's going to move forward once more. There it is. Yeah, he's gonna force those roaches to engage. He was continuing to pressure there. Look at how far behind PhoeNix is. Yet again, very unfortunate situation for PhoeNix. You know, he's trying to be aggressive here, but just not working out for him. He's having a very hard time pushing against Pomi. The problem, once again, is these choke points and dealing with force fields, and the force fields over here as well. And plus that Blink Stalker allowing him to chase down roaches whenever they try to disengage. Tough situation. Blink Stalker's cutting off the Speedlings that were attempting to sneak here into the natural expansion. Do have a fourth base up. That third is back up and running. And now Pomi with those Colossus in play is prepared to push out again. We just have Roach Speedling at the moment. A few Infestors coming out. Again, my concern here is his ability to deal with these Colossus. You can do it with roaches. The problem is you have to get really close and drop them quickly. And I don't know that Pomi's going to allow that to happen. Pomi making another push here onto PhoeNix's third. This is a goner. Take it easy. Speedlings and roaches moving from the backside. I'm not sure if he's going for a counterattack or if he's going to try to sandwich Pomi. We'll see what happens here. Pomi making a strong push now into the natural expansion. PhoeNix just moving back and forth. He's being very indecisive right now, and that is not something you want to be doing. Oh man, he needed to commit one way or the other. I don't know if this is going to be too late. We've got a Colossus here on defensive mode. And PhoeNix's natural expansion getting worked down here. Pomi just tearing through it. Speedlings and roaches moving over here. Some force fields cutting off a few of those Speedlings. Roaches moving up. They need to try to get close enough to that Colossus to take him out. As Pomi now pushes into the main base, this is going to get taken out very quickly. I do not think PhoeNix is going to be able to take this out in time before Pomi drops his main base. And the force fields prevent the roach. He can't deal with the Colossus, and the sentry's keeping his units at bay. He's got no proper response to this. Taking massive damage here. Should be able to finally get that Colossus as he's now up inside of the main. Takes that out. We've got this one hatch over here. Got an extract over here. There's no more production coming out here at all for PhoeNix. Pomi still has that option to produce. He's still got these warp gates up and running. He's still got an income going, and PhoeNix realizes that it's hopeless and calls it GG. For the second game in a row, PhoeNix attempts to be aggressive during certain points in the game, however is really unsuccessful in doing so, as during every engagement he falls further and further behind. And then once more we see that transition into Colossus, and PhoeNix really isn't adequately prepared to deal with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe, keep watching, and keep owning.